Hello, Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today we start Unit 32, New Social Movements. Since the middle of the last century, social movements have moved from the non-institutionalized margins of society to its very core. The manifestation of the new forms of organized collective action since 1950s has added several new dimensions to the issues of social movement. In this context, this unit will examine the social background of the emergence of new social movements. There are several new features of these movements. We have discussed these features at length in this unit. We have also tried to distinguish the new from the old social movement. The validity of these distinctions is also critically examined. The issues of new identity and autonomy of new social movements have been highlighted by several scholars. There are also examined in this unit. Now let us move to the point new social movements, the background. Since last 5 decades, especially after the proliferation of the black civil rights movement in the West in 1950s and 60s, the students movement in 1960s and 70s, women movement, anti-nuclear protest, gay rights, animal rights, minority nationalism, etc. Ethnic movements in 1970s and thereafter, social movements have emerged to be an area of special attention. There have been sincere efforts by the social scientists to redefine social movements from a critical and cognitive perspective. In this effort, the prevalent schemes of analysis were questioned and many of the elements were identified in these social movements, and at times several marginal issues were emphasized in a new context. The emergence of new forms of collective action, especially in Western Europe and North America, posed serious challenges to the social movement theorists to conceptualize this phenomena in terms of the prevailing discourse on social movement studies. Till 1950s, the workers' movements, peasants and tribal movements, at times caste, race or linguistic and ethnic movement or other varieties of collective mobilization are mostly explained within the Marxian framework of class struggle and the functionalist framework of malfunctioning of the social order. It was, however, realized in the backdrop of the proliferation of these movements that these perspectives of studying social movements were deterministic. Within these conventions, social movements were analyzed mostly in terms of the ideological and organizational orientations. The Marxist scholars highlighted the class ideology of the collective mobilization. It emphasized of the role ideology that provides the legitimacy to such mobilization. It focused on the unequal access to and control over the means of production between the two antagonistic classes that led to conflict in the society. In the functional analysis, on the other, the organizational aspect of social movement is articulated. For the functionalist, social movements were sources of potential disruption to an organization. Organized collective actions are viewed as dysfunctional aspect of the society. Here only by assigning a marginal position to social movement, integrity of the functional theoretical system was ensured. On the other hand, though the Marxist analysis is concerned with social transformation, this has identified the classes to be the sole agents of social transformation. Non-class movements are viewed critically and sometimes with contempt or hostility. Significantly, both Marxism and functionalism provided single order explanation of the social movement. However, the proliferation of these social movements in the 50s and 60s asked for a new perspective for analysis as there were new orientations. Most of the old movements are oriented to achieve in some form or the other materialistic goal. The new social movements, on the other, are oriented to be non-materialistic, resort to plural, multiple and wide varieties of collective mobilization, highlight the issues which cut across the boundaries of state, class, society, culture and the nation. You have already learnt about the new social movements in previous unit. Types of social movements. In this block, we shall however be discussing these aspects of social movements in greater detail in the next section. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.